All right, so additional topics number 2 is on radical equations. Okay, so we've done these before. They're pretty simple. All we need to remember is to isolate the radical when solving these. Okay, so number 1, I have the square root of 2x plus 1 plus 1 equals x. So I need to isolate the radicals. What do I need to do? Yep, subtract 1. So I'm going to have the square root of 2x plus 1. Oh, that's a weird plus sign. Equals x minus 1. Now what? Yep, opposite of square root is squaring both sides, right? So when I do that, I get 2x plus 1 equals, anybody want to tell me what's over here? Oh, you guys are killing me. Remember, you cannot just bring the square to n. You cannot do that, right?
X squared plus x minus 2.
Foil x squared.
Plus 1.
Your outer is negative x. Your inner is also negative x. So I get minus 2x plus 1, right? So x squared minus 2x plus 1. Did anybody get that right? So you FOIL it. All right, so now I have an equation that has x squareds and x's. You can see if any of those go away, but they don't. So we're still going to have x squareds and x's. So that means we need to get everything on one side of the equation and set it equal to 0. So subtract your 2x. And then I'm going to subtract the 1 as well. So when I do that, I get 0 equals x squared minus 4x, and then plus 0, right? That's gone. How do I solve? Take out what they have in common. They have an x in common. The GCF. So I now have two pieces that multiply and make 0, so that means either x is 0 or x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay. Now the important thing with these radical equations, you have to check. Now it can be a quick check. If I plug in 0 into my original, I'd have 2 times 0 plus 1, so that's square root of 1, plus 1 equals 0. True? Oh. You guys are so ready for summer, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Second one, I said false.
I thought someone said true. All right. Next up, so if I plug in 4, I have 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1, so that's the square root of 9. Plus 1 equals 4. True?
Yes.
True. X equals 4 is the only answer. Now be careful, just because the first one doesn't work doesn't mean the next one works. Sometimes there's no solution. Sometimes both are answers. So be really careful. Yeah, Dana.
I don't know what to do. Checks on all.
Yes, you have to check all of them. All right, next up. Now, what's scaring you about this problem? Fractions. You guys are scared of fractions, right? So let's multiply both sides of the equation by 2 to clear the fraction. Yep. So when I do that, I get 2x minus 2 of the square root of x plus 3's equals x. Okay, now we can try to isolate the term with the radical. So I'm going to subtract my 2x over. So when I do that, I get negative 2 times the square root of x plus 3 equals x minus 2x, so negative 1x. Okay, I don't really like that negative sign, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. Okay. Now, the radical isn't really what I would call isolated. There's still that 2 there, so you could divide by 2 and then square both sides. But it doesn't matter. I mean, then you go back to having fractions. So you can actually square from here. The only time you can do it is when this is, see how this is all one term, it's all together, they're multiplied. So if I'm squaring both sides from here, the question is, what does this become? That's the hard part.
4x plus 3, 6.
Exactly. 4 times the quantity of x plus 3, so in parentheses. Do you guys see that? Think of if I had 2y squared. I'm going to do 2 squared and then y squared. So I'm squaring the square root part. All right. So equals x squared. So I get 4x plus 12 equals x squared. I have x squared and x, so I'm going to get everything on one side. Usually I like the x squared part to be positive. So I'm going to subtract the 4x over, and I'm going to subtract the 12 over. So I'm going to get 0 equals x squared minus 4x minus 12. Does it factor?
Yes.
Yeah, how does it factor?
X minus 3. Six and two.
6 and 2, which one's positive, which one's negative?
6 is negative.
Yep. So I get x equals positive 6 and x equals negative 2 for my answers. All right, now I check to see if they're true. So you can check in the original. You can also check in this one if you don't want to deal with the fraction. It doesn't matter. So let's check in the one I have starred. So I'm going to have 2 times 6, so I get 12, minus 2 times the square root of 6 plus 3, so 9, equals 6. So is that one true? 2 minus, this would be 6. Does that equal 6? Yep. So x equals 6. It's a lot of it you can do in your head. All right, the next one, if I plug in negative 2, so I have 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then I have minus 2 times 1, so just minus 2. Is that equal to negative 2?
No.
Nope. So that one's out. So the only answer is x equals 6. Okay, good. Okay, let's try the next one. So see if you guys can do 3 and 4. So try 3 and 4.
Oh my goodness.
It's not that scary. Do you guys see what you would do first?
How do you even do that?
Just square both sides, and then you're back to where we started with, right, Isabella?
Okay, so you want to take you want to take it piece by piece, and so you want to start with the first radical sign here, and then you need to square both sides to get rid of the first one, and so then you're left with this, and then you need to isolate the second radical, which is this one, and so you have to subtract the x over. Oops. And then you have to do the same thing you did to get rid of the root sign. And for this side, you have to factor. So do that. And then so then when you FOIL it out, you can flip it so that it would be negative x plus 25, but I just did it this way and flipped it at the end. And then you need to subtract this over so that you can factor this part. Does everybody see how I got that? Just want to make sure, Okay. And then when you factor this part, you get 20 and 31. And then so that's how you get those. I didn't do the. Do you want me to do the check?
Yeah, did anybody check?
I didn't do the
Which
check.
one's works? 20 works. All right. So Jasmine says the 20 answer works. 31 does not. Great job. Thank you, Dana. So teacher Dana. All All right, did you guys get number 4? What were the answers for number 4? Just one? What'd you get?
4.
4 and 1 were the possible solutions, but which one is that actually the one that works?
4.
4? Okay, so let's try this. So I'm going to isolate the radical. So subtract 1, so I get the square root of 5 minus x equals, when I subtract 1, I get x minus 3. I'm going to get rid of my square root, so I'm going to square both sides. So square root and square cancel, so I have 5 minus x equals, remember I have to FOIL this out, it's not just x squared minus 9. So I get x squared minus 6x plus 9 when I FOIL. So if you need to see that off to the side, you can do it off to the side. All right, I'm going to add my x over, so I'm going to get minus 5x instead. And I'm going to subtract my 5 over, so I get plus 4. Okay, this one factors. I need x minus 4 and I need x plus 1. Nope, minus 1, right? They have to be the same sign because they multiply to be positive 4. So each piece equals 0 unsolved, so I get x equals 4 and x equals 1. So when I go back and check, I will have 5 minus 4, so that's 1, plus 1 equals 4 minus 2. So 2 equals 2. So 4 checks, that works. When I check the other one, when I plug in 1, I get the square root of 4, so 2 plus 1 equals 1 minus 2. So that's 3 equals negative 1. That one doesn't work. So 4 is your answer. So like I said, you can have no solution, so both could not work, and you can have both of them working occasionally. Okay? Okay, your last little thing. Always check. Do you guys remember what we call these extra solutions over here? Extraneous. Good. You guys remember. So always check. You could have extraneous solutions.